Yo, welcome back yet again. Welcome back to the huddle. Welcome back to the 4 Wide Fantasy Football Podcast. Here we are yet again, episode 13 with your co-hosts, Shed, Will, Olu, and Matt. Guys, episode 13. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
It's easy to think we're here. Last week of the fantasy football regular season, last week of the bye weeks, and the Cowboys are trending like Bitcoin right now. It's crazy. We're so glad that you guys have popped in with us yet again. This week, it is week 13 recap, week 14 preview. We're excited to share our fantasy football takes with you guys. Guys, let's welcome our listeners. 1 minute to shine. Shed, you're up, man.
All right. So I'm not sure if you've been paying attention. Jordan Love is catching fire and he's coming into his own.
He is.
Sure, yes. There was a little uncertainty initially at first, some growing pains this year and last year, but I think the Packers may have found their future quarterback. Last 5 games, Love has thrown 11 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions, and they've been winning. They're 4-1 in those games. If the playoffs were to start today, because of the way Love is playing, Packers would be the 7th seed making a playoff. And all they need to do is just get in because they're actually a better road team than they are a home team. So here's my message for the Green Bay Packers. Packers, listen up. Stop messing around. Pay this man. The man wants to be with you. He's committed to you. Put a ring on it. Give him a long-term deal and make him your franchise quarterback.
It's relationship advice for the Green Bay Packers.
It is.
Olu.
Yeah.
Olu, 1 minute to shine, my brother.
1 minute to shine. So I'm going to say this. I'll try to say this as quickly as possible. So one of the biggest criticism of the Dallas Cowboys fan base is they're delusional, or they tell you that they're delusional because
You better be careful.
I
said you better be careful now.
I know. Every year they do say, "Oh, this is our year. This is our year," and get criticized. And then another thing they do is they say Dak is a top 5 quarterback. And then that's not true because he never really always is a top 5 quarterback, except for this year. Dak Prescott is a top 3 quarterback this year. He is my front runner for the MVP. He is playing phenomenal football. He has 3,234 yards, 5th in the league, and he's number 1 in TDs, number 1 in TD interception ratio. Dak is playing elite football, the kind of football we've never seen him play until this year. So I would say, finally, the Cowboys fans finally are right. Dak is an elite quarterback.
Y'all listen, who is more delusional? Dallas Cowboys fans or New York Knicks fans? Which one is more delusional?
Oh, man. No, I think Cowboys fans, because Knicks fans know that they've been bad. Like, they just get frustrated.
They haven't been good. Yeah.
They're just frustrated at it. But they know that.
They know deep down. It's not our year.
That's right.
All right, Will, 1 minute of shine, man.
Yeah, here's my thing I have to say. So if you follow the betting odds, the MVP betting odds, as of today, Brock Purdy is the favorite to win the MVP award. This is insane. This man is not even the MVP on his own team. That would be Trent Williams. It would be Christian McCaffrey. You could argue Deebo Samuel, or you could argue several players on the defense are more valuable than Brock. Most of his throws are quick slants. They're bubble screens. He's executing this perfectly designed game, this beautiful system that Shanahan has. That man is not the MVP. If we're going to give it to him, we do have to just call it the quarterback award. My vote for MVP is the guy that I know Matt is about to talk about because I think he is the most valuable player at any position on any team. So I'll pass that one to you to talk about him.
Let me tell you something. The biggest gripe in football is that the MVP award should be named the most valuable quarterback, okay? Because I'm going to tell you who this year's MVP is. In actuality, let me tell you something. Tyreke Hill is the MVP of the NFL. The man has 93 catches, 1,481 yards, and 12 touchdowns. And we just finished week 13. Okay. Last year, Tyreke Hill had 119 catches and 1,700 yards and 7 touchdowns. He said he's going to go over 2,000 yards. His best years combined in Kansas City. Now, we always talk about how Tyreke Hill in Kansas City was untouchable. He was incredible. His best years combined, if you were to take the most catches, yards, and touchdowns combined from Kansas City, 111 catches, 1,479 yards, and 15 touchdowns. I'm here to tell you, this year, Tyreke Hill is going to do better in Miami than he did in all of his years combined. Well, not all of his years combined, but collectively in Kansas City. The last time a non-quarterback won the MVP award was in 2012. Adrian Peterson won it. We all remember that was when he came back from the ACL tear. The last couple years, the MVP was won by, quarterbacks, obviously. Mahomes, Rodgers, Jackson, Mahomes. Okay. Last year, Mahomes threw for 5,000 yards and 41 touchdowns.
Yep.
The 2 years before that, Rodgers threw for over 4,000 yards and 37 touchdowns, 48 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson had an incredible year, 3,100 yards, 36 touchdowns, and then he rushed for over 1,000. This year, though, the top quarterbacks in the NFL are C.J. Stroud, 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns through 13 weeks. Sam Howell, 3,500 yards, 18 touchdowns through 13 weeks. Tua, 3,400 yards and 24 touchdowns. Goff, 3,300 yards, 20 touchdowns. Why am I saying this? The quarterbacks are not showing out this year.
No, they're not.
And so many of them are injured. Rodgers, Burrow, Watson, now Lawrence. Fields was out. These guys are getting hurt. Mahomes isn't blowing it out statistically. Josh Allen keeps turning over the ball, and Buffalo's not that good. Stroud's a rookie. I don't think they're ready to give a rookie the MVP award. If Tyreke Hill does not get the MVP award, it's a scam. It's a fraud. He is the MVP of the league, and he's the MVP of fantasy football. He is the number one scorer in fantasy football right now. A wide receiver over a quarterback. Give the man the award. Tyreke Hill is the MVP of the NFL and of fantasy football. And that is my 1 minute of shine.
All right. I have to just quickly say, when you were listing the previous MVP winners, I heard you say Jackson Mahomes, and I was like, whoa, hold on. But you were listing all the last names. I know.
Just the last
Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes. I was like, what did we just hear? Please do not ever mention that man's name in this space again.
Oh, gosh. Why did it have to be like that? All right, guys. Also, I want to throw this in there. Actually, you know what? I won't throw it in there.
Save it for later.
Yes, I'll save it for later. But also with the MVP award, Tyreke Hill is balling and Miami is winning. Okay? They are winning, and that's important. You can't give the MVP award to a guy whose team's not winning. Okay? Shed, what were you going to say, man?
So the fact of how you were listing Sam Howell, any list that Sam Howell is leading and giving you the work, giving you the business, like something's wrong with that. It just shows that like 20 touchdowns leads the league this far along.
3,500. It's he has the most yards.
His yards lead.
His yards.
Yeah.
He also hasn't had a bye week. I don't think they've had a bye week.
No.
But
it's this Sunday.
C.J. Stroud leads the league in the yards.
Yeah, Howell is second.
Stroud, yes. Howell is second. Stroud leads the league in yards. But the fact that we are at week 13.
I know.
And the passing leader is only 3,500 yards. And the touchdown leader is only 26 touchdowns. That's 2 touchdowns a game, which is, hey, that's good. But when you talk about how last year Mahomes threw 41, nobody's going to get that number this year. The year before that, Rodgers won it at 37. Nobody's going to get that. The year before that, Rodgers had 48. No one's touching that. So it's like the quarterbacks aren't there this year. The passing volume is not there this year. So if there's any year a non-quarterback should win the MVP award, this is the year. Tyreke Hill is going to set a record for the most reception yards in a season. It's going to happen. He's going to get over 2,000 yards. As long as he stays healthy, they're going to make it happen.
So, isn't the record by what's his name?
Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
1,964 is the record. So
and Tyreke Hill's going to beat that.
And he's going to get 2,000. Well, I think 2 years ago, was Cooper Kupp's Triple Crown year,
Triple Crown.
right? Who
Yeah.
won the MVP 2 years ago? Was it Mahomes or
Rodgers.
Rodgers. So, right, but Rodgers had this elite season, right, at the twilight of his career, and you could have argued Cooper Kupp was the MVP, the actual MVP in the league that year, but Rodgers had such a phenomenal season they had to give it to him. As we have said repeatedly, no quarterback is having that type of year. So this has to be. It would be a joke if you don't give it to Tyreek Hill. It would be a joke. No quarterback is single-handedly lighting the league on fire or leading their team to victory right now. None of the guys you listed are the main reason their team is winning, but Tyreek Hill is the main reason that Dolphins offense is firing on all cylinders. It's not Waddle. Mostert is nice, but I think that all opens up because of what Tyreek does over the top. And Tua is just finding Tyreek. I mean, Tyreek makes his job so easy. It's got to be him. He makes that offense run.
So, and the biggest thing with Cooper Kupp, why Cooper Kupp didn't get it that year is because Matt Stafford throws him the ball and he catches it, but Tyreek Hill, he takes the ball from a 3-yard and turns that into a 199-yard run. So that's the biggest difference between Cooper Kupp and Tyreek Hill, and that's why I think Tyreek Hill can get it. Oh, and Cooper Kupp didn't get it back then. So I'll say Tyreek Hill is definitely between Tyreek Hill and Dak and the MVPs.
Yeah, you got to look. I mean, you got to look at the numbers on paper, and then there's just the eye test. The man is balling. Like, what he is doing. This past week, he had a touchdown of 75 yards and 60 yards. The guy's unguardable. He is the reason the team is winning. Will said it best. Tua's getting the job done, but Tua needs Tyreek more than Tyreek needs Tua.
Yes.
And so I think it has to be Tyreek Hill. It has to be. But anyways, guys, we have a great episode for you. We're so grateful for all of our listeners, all of our followers, whether it be on YouTube or Spotify or Instagram. But we have an amazing episode today. We're going to start off with our injury roundup. Unfortunately, it is a bad one, a long one. We're going to talk about our biggest takeaways from week 13, and then we're going to do a little mashup. In the past, we've always done matchup to exploit and matchup to avoid as two separate segments. Today, we're just going to do week 14. We're going to talk about our player to note. And it's a combination of exploit or avoid. We're going to shorten that up because what we have today is we have another list. We know that the lists are fun. We're going to have the 2023 rookie class ranking. We're going to give you our 4-wide fantasy football podcast rookie rankings at this point of the season. And then after that, we're going to finish it up with our favorite segment, single game mock. Will, take us away, man. Injury roundup.
All right, so as you said, unfortunately, it is a long list of injuries after week 13. I'll start with the guys who are definitely going to be missing time. Tank Dell, obviously, is the most devastating one. Broken fibula. He's out for the season. That's going to be a long recovery into the offseason for him. David Carr has a back and shoulder injury and a concussion. This man might need to retire at this
every
point.
single week.
You've got Kenny Pickett with the ankle. He's having surgery on the ankle. He's out 2 to 4 weeks. Ramondre Stevenson also with the ankle. They're estimating 2 to 3 weeks out for him. And then guys who are day-to-day, maybe week-to-week. Trevor Lawrence is the longest shot to play. He has a high ankle sprain.
Mortgage.
I know. My mortgage, the house, everything. It's like there's a leak, and you're trying to see if you can fix it without needing repairs. So they're working on it. He's doubtful for Sunday is what they're saying. I think he's probably out. Then you've got Brian Robinson with the hamstring, waiting on updates for that. And then Amari Cooper with a concussion. Marquise Brown with the heel, also waiting on a decision for this Sunday. And then another thing, as far as a guy coming back from injury, Justin Jefferson came off the IR. Last week, they opened up that practice window. They had a bye, so he's been able to presumably practice slowly, kind of work his way back in. And it looks like he might be able to play this week against the Raiders, which is a great matchup for fantasy purposes. Guys, any other thoughts on those injuries?
I just think
like David. Oh, go ahead, Shed.
No, I just think having Justin Jefferson back is huge. Especially the fantasy football playoffs start in a week or two.
Yeah,
right.
Most leagues start next week.
So if you've been able to kind of steady the ship, hang in there for the last 4 or 5 weeks, Jefferson's been out. You have a good early Christmas gift coming to you right now. Him back in the
That's right.
lineup.
Yeah. I feel like David Carr gets injured as much as Mac Jones gets
Wait,
benched.
you said
Oh
David
my
Carr?
gosh. David
Derek
You said
Carr.
Carr.
Derek.
Derek Carr.
Oh,
Derek
I
Carr.
said David too.
Yeah, I'm looking at your notes.
David Carr. David Carr should have retired way earlier than he did. He was the Texans'
Dude,
expansion quarterback and got destroyed weekly.
he
But
he
Derek
took
Carr
he
too.
took the most sacks. He had the most sacks in NFL history in his rookie year. It was brutal, man.
Golly.
Yeah, he gets injured a lot, and I feel bad for Tank Dell. Tank Dell was having a phenomenal season. He was a great story, and I know Olu loves him. And Olu will have a lot more to say about him as we go forward in this episode. But I mean,
But I
y'all know
do
how I like
blame them.
small players, right?
No. It's not a small player thing. Did you see what play he got hurt in?
He got rolled up on while blocking on a run play.
So basically, they had a tush push, and they had him in the front blocking in the front of a tush push.
Terrible.
Like how? That's a dumb idea. Like you had Tank Dell in the front of a tush push blocking.
Tank Dell is about as big as a high school freshman, and they
So that was like, okay, that's on them. That's a very preventable
yeah.
injury.
It's true.
Well, let's move on. Let's talk about our biggest takeaways from week 13, guys. Biggest takeaways from this exciting week that started off with an incredible Thursday night game. Very exciting as we got to see the Seahawks and the Cowboys play. And then it ended with another exciting game with the Jaguars and the Bengals. So, biggest takeaway from week 13. Shed, you're up first, man.
So my biggest takeaway is that, okay, the Patriots may be the worst NFL team this year. Worse than the Panthers, worse than the Bears, worse than, unfortunately, Matt, your New York Football Giants.
Nah, we want to be the worst.
But so how are you going to allow only 46 points in your last 4 games and lose all those games?
That's talent, man.
That's allowing 11.5 points a game. Just to give you an idea of what that means, the 2000 Ravens, with probably the best defense arguably ever to play, they gave up just 10 points a game, and they end up going on winning the Super Bowl. So this defense has injuries, and they're good, but the team is just bad overall. And what really stinks is the offense. The offense is what stinks. Their quarterback situations stink. Their only saving grace is that they can get the top 2 pick in this upcoming draft. Lose, tank. Get yourself a generational quarterback. Stink it up for 5 weeks. Keep losing, and then get your quarterback and be good again. But this team is horrible, guys. It's the worst team in the league.
Okay. Of course, you know I have something to say to that.
Yes, I know, Olu.
So,
I know.
The first things first. The only saving grace this team has is getting rid of Bill Belichick. Because if Bill Belichick,
Here we go.
It doesn't matter what amount of quote unquote generation quarterback you get. He's going to destroy the development. He cannot develop a quarterback, contrary to popular belief. And secondly, the defense also sucks because you got to remember the team that gave the 6 points to is the Chargers, who has lost most of their offensive receivers. Okay. And then the second team that gave 10 points to is the New York Giants. So let's not act like they have this really good defense. Their defense is equally bad. They gave up 20 points.
Not equally bad. Not equally
No.
bad.
The offense is still worse, way worse than the defense.
Worse, but they're just one of the defense is one of the worst defense in the league. The year in which defenses are stepping up, the Patriots defense is taking a step all the way back. They gave up 20 points to Sam Howell. They gave up 31 points to the Dolphins, which is not bad, to be honest. They gave up 34 points to Derek Carr. They gave up 21 points to the Raiders. Like, what are we talking about? It's a bad defense. Bill Belichick is way past his prime. Actually, would argue he never had a prime to begin with. So,
Oh my gosh.
The saving hope will be A, Brady shows up. We know that's not happening. Or B, Bill Belichick leaves or gets a promotion upstairs. And that's that.
No, that's worse. I think he's worse as an executive than he is as a
Yeah.
No, no,
coach. So why would they want him in that role?
executive and non-football person, non-football executive.
He's never going to agree to that.
All right, then he has to go.
Shed has to bring me back from the brink. Hold on. What are you going to say?
Olu, you can't say a team has a horrible defense when they have historically great numbers. Since what, 1936 or something like that, Will was saying earlier on.
Those numbers.
Since that time, look, they've only given up 46 points in 4 games. This is the NFL, right?
But who are those teams? What teams are those?
They play Indianapolis
The
Colts.
Chargers are a high-scoring offense, and they held them.
No,
Yes.
the Chargers don't have their number one receiver.
Yes,
they
they
don't
do.
have their number.
They have Keenan
No,
Allen.
they don't have
Keenan
Michael
Allen
Williams.
is their number one.
Mike
Mike
Williams
Williams
has
is
never
not
been
the-
their number one receiver.
All right,
Come on,
let's
He is
just say-
not their number one.
Let's just say the Chargers coach is about to get fired. How about that?
Yeah, but not
They still
because
have-
of the offense, because of the defense.
What other team are we talking about?
Okay, Chargers, check.
Okay,
Indianapolis Colts, who are in competition for winning the division right now.
that's not
Check.
saying much. But go ahead.
The Commanders, who we talked about earlier with Sam Howell.
Hold up. Back up. You skipped the Giants.
Okay,
He's
Giants,
getting
sure.
there.
Sure,
He's getting there.
sure. I'll
The
give you the
Giants
Giants.
is the one bad
The
offense.
New York
right?
Football Giants.
But hang on, Matt, bring us back here. We're losing so much
Why don't
time
we
on the
just move forward?
Patriots.
Yeah. I was just enjoying this. Why don't we move forward? Because we could rant about the Patriots for a while. Who's next? Who was even talking? Was that Shed's take? Olu, what's your take? Biggest takeaway, man.
Okay.
was my
Well,
take.
get ready for another hot take. We know the Chiefs are always going to be playoff contenders, but this year I don't think there are Super Bowl contenders. We've learned that this week. They got carved up by a surging Green Bay Packers, which show and they've been a little shaky. We've seen them. We're like, okay, the offense is not that good, but the defense might carry them. But no, we saw the chink in the armor of the defense. They got carved up by such a young offense. So I think Chiefs can be one and done in the playoffs this year in the wild card round if they're not careful. That's what my biggest takeaway this week.
Yeah,
One and
so
done.
I like the Chiefs, but I'm looking at the AFC right now. The Ravens are serious. The Dolphins are very good. And then you have the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the 3rd seed right now. After that, you have the Jags, who might be without Lawrence for a little bit. And then you'll never believe this, but the 5th seed in the AFC right now is the Steelers.
Gosh.
And they stink. So there is no way that the Chiefs are one and done if the 5th seed is the Steelers.
Okay.
And the 6th seed is the Colts, right?
All right. Right now, they are the 5th seed or 6th seed. But make no mistake, the Texans will be in the picture. The Colts.
Yeah, they're tied at 7-5.
Yes, the Colts will be in the picture. The Browns will not be in the picture because they're 7-5. The Steelers would not be in the picture by the end of the year. So if they have to play the Colts already has the Chiefs number.
You think the Colts would beat the Chiefs in the playoffs?
Absolutely.
In Kansas City?
Have you seen the way they play now? Especially with the running back there, especially Jonathan Taylor is coming back in the lineup. Now we have number one, the Chiefs are going to be the 4th seed. So if they're the 4th seed, they play the 3rd seed. They don't have the luxury to play. Wait, did they play 3rd seed? No, they play the
5th seed.
The 6th seed, and that as well could be the Texans. The Texans are serious contenders. William Anderson is he's serious. Okay, he's a sharp wrecker. So and then he already they lost their left tackle, which probably wasn't any good to begin with. So the Chiefs are really on a high upset alert in the playoffs.
So here's what I think, though. Honestly,
God forbid, the Bills somehow makes the playoff, and they draw the Bills in the playoffs, it's a wrap. It's over.
No, it's not a wrap. You're talking about Jonathan Taylor as if he's tearing up the league right now when Isaiah Pacheco is outperforming Jonathan Taylor. Right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are running the ball better than they've ever run it.
It's true.
Mahomes is still Mahomes. It's not as if the guy got worse.
Okay.
I think they're
Mahomes
going to be fine.
Mahomes is still Mahomes, but he's not. You know why? Because Mahomes cannot complete a deep pass. I'm not saying it's any fault of his. I'm saying he has not been able to complete a deep pass. You cannot be Mahomes without the deep pass. No one is scared of Mahomes. Whenever the clock is down to 1 minute, 1 minute to end the game,
He said no one's scared of Mahomes.
And it's not because of him. It's because he doesn't have the horses to complete that throw. He doesn't have a receiver to make that catch. He does not have Tyreke Hill. No one is scared of the deep pass. No one is scared of MVS. Who's scared of MVS? Nobody.
Well, we'll hold the receipts. Hold the receipts. If that one's on Instagram, I know we're gonna get chopped up for that one, but that's good though. That's good though, Olu. Hold on to that. Will, biggest takeaway.
I'm coming gun blazing today.
All right, my biggest takeaway after 13 weeks of the season, I want the NFL to listen to me. The officiating is atrocious. It is terrible. I don't know right now the average salary of these guys because I know they got a big raise after the holdout year with the replacement refs, and I'm sure hopefully they've got a raise with the inflation in this country, all of that. But these men are not performing their jobs in an acceptable way. We saw in the Chiefs-Packers game Sunday night, at the end of the game, all of the missed calls on the Chiefs' final drive, at least 2 missed pass interference calls. There were different holding calls that they missed. My suggestion to the NFL is this. Do what other sports have done and put an official in the booth in the game who has the ability to make a call from the booth watching the live camera angles that they have, where he can actually be in the head referee's ear, tell him this is a penalty, and make the call, have a flag thrown where they can call it from the booth live. Because what we're seeing from the guys on the field is they miss way too many calls, and it's starting to swing the outcomes of key games. And we're getting into the seeding weeks, the playoff seeding weeks at the end of the year and into the playoffs. Got to do a better job, NFL. Put an official in the booth who has the authority to make a live call.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think last year's Super Bowl was the most anticlimactic Super Bowl. It was a phenomenal Super Bowl. We were watching; it was great. And then the last play that decided the match or the game was a penalty call that was so anticlimactic at the 1 yard line. Like you cannot decide important games that way. So yes, I agree with you for sure.
Yeah. No, that's good. My biggest takeaway, guys, what if I were to offer you something, would you buy this or sell this? Okay. There is a former first-round quarterback. He's been in the league a few years, and he is currently the number 9 quarterback in fantasy football. Would you want to buy that or sell that? Former first-round pick, currently the number 9 fantasy football quarterback.
I need more info.
You would buy. That's what you would do. Jordan Love is the number 9 fantasy football quarterback right now in the NFL. And you want to know something? We all want to give him a hard time.
I'll buy.
This is why you want to give Jordan Love a hard time. We're hard on him because of how he entered the league. Green Bay drafted him when Aaron Rodgers did not want him. He was the 26th overall pick out of where? Utah State. Now, if you take away the draft stock, if you take away where he was drafted, if you take away all the drama, and you give this guy a clean slate and you look at him objectively, especially over the last few weeks, you would say this guy's a baller. He deserves to be in the NFL. He deserves to be a starting quarterback, and he's a great fantasy player. Strip all that stuff away, look at him objectively, and the man is balling. Last week, he went 25 for 36 with 3 touchdowns. The last 3 weeks, he's thrown for 850 yards and 8 touchdowns. 0 interceptions. 0. That is phenomenal. He hit a little slump midseason, but what quarterback doesn't? He's healthy, and Green Bay is winning. I think Jordan Love is legit. I think he's legit. I'm buying. I think he's one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league right now, not named Dak Prescott or CJ Stroud or Lamar, but he's balling right now. He's playing some great football. Olu, you want to say something?
So I have a question. So if Jordan Love is playing great football, and we saw when the first game he ever played, he was atrocious. If he's playing really elite football right now, which he is, what does that say about Trey Lance? Should we give Trey Lance more time, and he can become what this is? Because he was actually drafted to be this. What does that say about Trey Lance?
Trey Lance was unlucky because the thing that happened with Trey Lance, it wasn't as if memory serves me correct, it wasn't as if Trey Lance got benched. Trey Lance
was hurt.
Injured. Trey Lance got injured. And then what happened is Brock Purdy comes in and takes the job. Jordan Love has gotten an opportunity. He has done pretty well in it with his opportunity, and he has not gotten hurt. So I think Trey Lance, unfortunately, because of his injuries, that's what's cost him this opportunity to play in the league. Should he get more time? I mean, I don't know what to say about that.
Jordan Love was sitting. So even while sitting, he wasn't injured. He was still taking reps, but he took time for him to develop. The first time he played Kansas City on national TV, that's one of the worst football I've ever seen. Now look at him now. What will Trey Lance become? Are we being too quick to dismiss Trey Lance? I don't know.
So to that, I will say, well, as you all know, I have personal interest in this conversation because in our Dynasty League, I traded Jordan Love away going into his third season, and I regret that tremendously. And now I've got Trey Lance sitting on my bench for the last 2.5 years doing nothing, and I'm holding on to him. But I think, yes, he deserves more time for sure. And we don't have a large enough sample size to accurately judge him. The 2 games he did start last year before he broke his ankle, he actually played very well, and they had RPOs for him. He was a great fantasy quarterback, even though he was like 20-plus points in those 2 starts because of the rushing yards. But I think what Matt said is true. He's just not going to have the opportunity that Jordan Love had where, yes, Aaron Rodgers still was in the end of his prime when Love got drafted, but the plan was always, this is our next guy, right? He's being prepared to take over this legacy as a Green Bay Packer quarterback. But Trey Lance now is sitting behind Dak Prescott, who's 28 years old, 29 years old? I don't think Dak's 30 yet. He's playing at an MVP level right now. So Trey Lance is never going to start in Dallas unless Dak has some kind of horrific injury. And he's already been traded once. I don't think another team's going to trade for him. So unfortunately, it might just be terrible luck that we have this unknown career that never gets to be seen. I think, sadly, that's probably the most likely scenario, even though I'd love to see him get a shot.
Could history be repeating itself? Because when Aaron Rodgers was drafted, remember, he was drafted. Nobody saw him being drafted by the Packers when he was drafted.
Yeah, they had Brett Favre.
They had Brett Favre. And Aaron Rodgers sat for how many years? 3 years. During those 3 years, he came in sparingly, but he wasn't that good. His rookie season, he only threw 16 passes, completed 9, no touchdowns, 1 interception. Second year, he threw 15 passes, 6 completions, no touchdowns, no picks. His third year, he completed 20 of 28 passes, 1 touchdown, no pick. The guy wasn't that impressive in these small opportunities. People are wondering what's up with this guy. I remember he would come in and break his foot once or twice. Like, the guy wasn't doing anything. But then 2008 happened. He got a starting job, 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 13 picks. Jordan Love, could history be repeating itself? Possibly. I'm not going to rule it out. Am I going to say the guy's as talented as Aaron Rodgers? No. But the guy's coming into a great opportunity. He got to sit. He got to learn from a great quarterback. He's got a young team. He's got a young team around him. They're the youngest team in the league.
And the thing about it, we talk about Aaron Rodgers' talent, but we weren't talking about that on draft day. He dropped and he fell, right? We didn't know about his talent until later on. So the Packers are really, really good at developing quarterbacks and having a consistent development program for their QBs. Like, I wouldn't rule out the question. I mean, who knows? Jordan Love could be the next great Packers quarterback. The way he's playing now, he's definitely on that track.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's keep it moving, guys. Let's talk about our next segment. Week 14, player to note. This may be a matchup to exploit or a matchup to avoid. We want to help you out in your fantasy lineup as we finish out the regular season. Shed, you're up first, man.
So you should really, really consider sitting Calvin Ridley versus Cleveland. Calvin Ridley, if you've been watching this season, he's been up and down all year long. He's definitely underperformed based upon expectations and based upon where his ADP was. And this was under Trevor Lawrence. Now he has CJ Beathard throwing him the ball. Beathard, like last week, he was 9 for 10 for, I believe, 68 yards or 66
all
yards.
All checkdowns, too. It was
all checked. Thank you. That exactly is my point. That's just dinking and dunking. That's the coaching staff trying to mitigate damages, right? And playing it safe. When you're the backup quarterback, the coaching tends to minimize those things. And usually you check the ball down to running backs, to tight ends, especially going against this defense, Cleveland's defense, that's first in the league in pass defense and fourth in pass touchdowns allowed. Maybe an ETN, maybe an Ingram, maybe a Zay Jones, maybe even a Christian Kirk might be able to do something this week. But outside of that, like, I would sit Calvin Ridley and don't even start him this week. Not with CJ Beathard as a starter.
No, definitely. I mean, Beathard, he was only looking for checkdowns and like short middle of the field, Evan Ingram stuff. Yeah, he did take that one shot downfield, but it was
as soon as it came
back
in
for a holding penalty.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Ridley's been up and down. I don't know if going with Beathard is going to help his stock now. Especially if you're fighting for a fantasy spot. I feel bad. Really quick, shout out to one of my best friends, Merlin Gerst. Okay, I beat him in fantasy football this past week by 2 points because he had Trevor Lawrence going out, and then Trevor Lawrence got injured.
Gosh.
He also had Calvin Ridley, and all I had was ETN, and I actually won by 2 points. But I feel so bad because he is currently the 6th seed in our fantasy league. 6 teams make the playoffs, and he has Trevor. It's a super flex league. He has Trevor Lawrence, probably not going to play. And he has Kyler Murray, who's on a bye. So he's like, what do I do at quarterback? And I need to get in the playoffs. And I'm like, CJ Beathard, baby. That's who you go with.
CJ Beathard.
But let's keep it moving. Olu, you're up next, man. Player to note for week 14.
My player of note should be Josh Allen this week. Because I feel like Josh Allen, they just had a bye week. They had a really, really amazing game against the Eagles before the bye. They played their hearts out. They've not looked this. They've not looked this good in a while as a team. But they played a really good game. Unfortunately, they fell short. So this coming up week, they have the Chiefs with a chance to make the playoffs. So I think they're gonna put it all on the line, especially with coming up for bye week, and especially they do smell. Everyone is smelling blood in the with the Kansas City Chiefs. So they're going to come and really give Kansas City Chiefs their second loss in a row. So I expect him to have a really good game. There must be a lot of game planning by the coaches. They watch a lot of tape, and they actually saw what the Green Bay Packers did to them. And the Bills are more talented than the Green Bay Packers. So I feel like this will be a very big Josh Allen game. Look for Josh Allen to run a lot. So he's going to run. He's going to put everything on the line for this game. This is do or die for them as a team in order to make the playoffs. They're going to make a really strong push. And I just expect them to have a big game this week. Yeah.
I'm buying that. I can see it. I mean, whenever these two teams meet, it's fireworks, man. I mean, we all remember that playoff game. Probably one of the most memorable, if not the best playoff game in the last 5 years.
Oh, yes.
But Josh Allen, he's a competitor. And if he has to win it on his own, he will. Whatever's going on between he and Stephon Diggs, shoot. That's relationship problems right there. But if he has to run, he's going to run. If he's got to throw it, he's going to, like, I'm buying that, man. Josh Allen's going to have the game of his life. Absolutely. Will, you're up, man. Player to note.
So I'm going to say player to note in week 14, you want to make sure that you start Justin Fields. We know this man actually is a great fantasy quarterback, And he's back from the injury now. He's healthy, but it's specifically because of the matchup. The Bears are going to be playing the Detroit Lions. The Lions had a good defense to start this year, but since they're bye in week 9, they're giving up 30 points per game. Terrible. I don't know what happened. I get maybe they had injuries. I'm trying to remember now, but the defense has not played well. And the last time they played each other, Justin Fields ran for 104 yards in that first game against the Lions. And so Justin Fields is a safe start this week because of the matchup and specifically because of what he brings with the rushing yards, the rushing upside. So he's a guy that could easily win you the week in week 14.
If the Bears fans don't have faith in Fields, fantasy owners do.
That's right.
Oh, we're the only ones that do, not the Bears.
So, for our listeners' sake, there is a difference between being NFL good and fantasy good, okay?
Correct.
Justin Fields is fantasy great, but NFL, he just has not been winning like that. But yeah, that's great stuff. I'm gonna play him in a DFS contest this week. You convinced me.
Just real quick, just sidebar. What do you think Chicago should do in the draft? Should they draft a quarterback or build around Justin Fields, like getting Marvin Harrison or something?
So they're going to have 2 of the top 5 picks, right? Because they have Carolina's pick. Man. I think you take a quarterback and a receiver back to back.
So replace them.
Yeah, you got to. One of those picks has to be the quarterback because they know what they have in Fields.
Yes.
He's been here 3 years and he has not won. I think he's won, like 4 games? 5 games?
He's not a winning quarterback at all.
Yeah, and they've invested. They brought in DJ Moore. They paid Cole Kmet. They are doing their best to surround him with talent. Now, is it exceptional, great talent? Like, no, but they're bringing DJ Moore. They paid Cole Kmet. They tried with Chase Claypool. I'm not going to know Chase Claypool. But they're trying, and he just has not produced. They got to get a quarterback, man. My Week 14 player to note. Sorry, Cinderella. The clock has struck midnight on Adam Thielen. It was a great party. It was fun while it lasted. There was a time on this podcast where we were like, Adam Thielen, he's a top 10 fantasy receiver. But the last 2 weeks, the man has gotten 4 catches for 27 yards.
Golly.
Combined. That's it. And this week, they're going against the New Orleans Saints. PFF has him ranked as the 24th receiver. Carolina is 1-11. They're not playing for anything, and we just lost Olu. What in the world happened to Olu?
Disappearing act.
He just pulled a Houdini. What was that? Anyways, Carolina is 1-11. They are not going anywhere. Bryce Young is not magically going to hit a growth spurt and all of a sudden be a better quarterback in between week 13 and 14. Adam Thielen, bro. I hate to tell I hate to tell our Adam Thielen owners this, but I believe the hype train has left and it's gone.
I agree.
Sit him.
No, I think it's over. He did what he was supposed to do, which was give Bryce Young this established, reliable target. Okay, and he was able to do that for 6, 8, 10 weeks. But now it's actually Jonathan Mingo that's getting all the attention. Jonathan Mingo, hopefully, I have him in one of my dynasty leagues. Going into next year is going to be a viable receiver, but the Adam Thielen experience has come to an end. Yes, welcome back to King of Zamunda. We're glad you're here. Shed had a Thielen response, I think.
Yeah, kind of like you were saying, Will. Thielen did. I mean, if you had Thielen overperformed this year. He brought you this far, right? He did what he was supposed to do. Hopefully, you weren't relying on him. Hopefully, he was like your 4th wide receiver who just happened to get in a starting lineup, and you have actually good 1 and 2 wide receivers you can put in there. But he did what he was supposed to do. Now it's time to move on because playoffs are right around the corner, and it's going to be hard to trust him moving forward if you're a playoff team.
Adam Thielen has had the best year he's had in the last 4 years. Yes, he has. He's had the best year he's had in the last 4 years. Since 2020. It's, been 4 years. But anyways, guys, here we go. We're going to have a new segment now for our listeners. kind of like what we did a few weeks ago when each week we dropped a re-ranking. We re-ranked the quarterbacks, we ranked the running backs, the receivers, and the tight ends. Well, today we are going to give a ranking, our Four Wide Fantasy Football Podcast ranking of the 2023 rookie class.
Love this.
Fantasy football style. So not linemen, not defense, just quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and tight ends. We compiled a list, and we're going to drop our top 10 rookies from the fantasy season. Hey, Shed, give me my theme music. So here we go. Guys, are we going 1 to 10 or 10 to 1?
10 to 1, count down to the top.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go 10 to 1, and then we'll rewind, and we'll have some discussion about these guys, significant discrepancies. At number 10, we have Rashee Rice. At number 9, the pride of Boston College, Zay Flowers. At number 8, the Biletnikoff Award winner, Jordan Addison. At number 7, the rookie sensation, Sam Laporta. At number 6, Jahmyr Gibbs. At number 5, Devin Achane. At number 4, Tank Dell. At number 3, Puka Nacua. At number 2, Bijan Robinson. And at number 1, no surprises there, CJ Stroud. So guys, that is our 2023 rookie class. Let's talk about it. CJ Stroud at number 1. We all had him at number 1. No surprises there. Does anybody want to say anything? Do we need to waste any time on that? The guy's balling right now. At this point of the season, he has thrown for 3,540 yards and 20 touchdowns. Anyone have anything they have to say about that? He's doing great.
No, that's the obvious choice because he's going to break all the rookie quarterback records. I mean, it's something we've never seen before.
And he has broken the Ohio State quarterback curse.
Finally.
Probably even more important. Yeah. Well, at number 2, we had collectively Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson was one of the highest, if not the highest, running back prospect to come out since 2018. And I personally was very high on Bijan Robinson coming into the season. I thought he would finish the season as the number 1 fantasy running back. I had him at number 4. Shed, you had him at number 2, and so did Will. Do you guys want to talk about Bijan Robinson? Oh, no. Olu, you had him at number 3. So I was actually, coming into the season, I was the highest on Bijan, but at this point, I'm the lowest, while Shed and Will, you guys are high on him. Do you guys want to talk about Bijan Robinson?
Yeah, I'll just quickly say, so I had him ranked at number 2, not from a strictly production standpoint, because from a production standpoint, objectively, Puka Nacua outside of Stroud has produced the most. But Bijan, in the games where we have seen him featured, okay, this is the most frustrating thing. If the Falcons would just feature him in their offense, because when they do, this man is lightning in a bottle. Rushing and receiving, what he's able to do in space, he has a long career ahead of him. So I gave him this ranking because of the games where he has been featured. And if that had happened consistently all season, if Arthur Smith just could get his head on straight, then he would be the number 2 rookie unquestioned. So that's why I have him there.
Yeah. I think everyone knows it. The talent is there. He passes the eye test. The only thing people have a gripe with him is because he's not getting the volume. And then also, too, there was that week where he was like sick, but he wasn't on the injury report. And he messed us all up that week.
People are salty about that still.
Oh, gosh, he messed me up that week. But yeah, Bijan, he's balling, man. At number 3, we collectively had Puka Nacua. Now, me and Will had him at number 3, but Olu had him all the way down at number 6. What Puka Nacua is doing is incredible as a rookie receiver. The guy started out the year on fire. And he's still doing relatively well. Put him in that category of rookie receivers, production-wise, that we saw with like Anquan Bolden. Justin Jefferson was just, him and Jamar Chase's rookie seasons were astronomical. But I mean, what Puka Nacua is doing as a rookie is incredible. I believe he's still a top 10 fantasy receiver as a rookie. But does anyone else want to talk about Puka Nacua? Go for it, Olu. What do you have to say about Puka Nacua? Because you were the lowest on him. But Puka Nacua, he's 7th in the league in yards.
Yes.
So take away the PPR stuff, and he's 7th.
Right, but he's still 7th in yards, which is not PPR dependent. Yards is a non-PPR.
But
so his touchdowns may not be like 7, 8, 9, but the man has the 7th most yards as a receiver. So I could, Shed, go for it. You're waiting to say something.
Yeah, so like Matt said, he's number 7 in fantasy. He's, like I said before, he was the first rookie wide receiver in history, Rams history, to get over 1,000 yards ever. That's over Cooper Kupp. That's over Torrey Holt, who was number 6 overall pick. That's over Hall of Famer Isaac Bruce. None of these guys ever did in a rookie year what he's done so far. And he's still been able to produce even when Cooper Kupp has been there. You're talking about 3 games, 2 or 3 games where he was bad. You have to understand that those games where he was bad, week 8 and week 9, he had a backup quarterback throwing to him. He had a backup quarterback throwing to him. And in week 11, the Rams, where Kyren Williams had 4 touchdowns, the Rams decided to feature Kyren Williams in passing and in running. He was really the only really relevant fantasy that week. So you have to understand is that you don't get to this point by being an average guy, right? I mean, the guy produces. The last 2 out of 3 weeks, he's averaged over 20 fantasy points. Like, Cooper Kupp is not going to be that guy anymore. Matthew Stafford, you know how Matthew Stafford is. He feeds his guys. He's going to start feeding Puka Nacua.
So here's my response to that. Okay, so your only knock on him is that he's not getting the touchdowns. He's the 7th most in yards. He has 4 touchdowns, but you know who else didn't get a lot of touchdowns every year in their career, but is known as one of the most underrated receivers in NFL history? Is Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen would get like 6 touchdowns a year, maybe 7. He'd get a lot of yards, a lot of catches, but not touchdowns, and everyone's always talking about how great he is. Puka Nacua right now has more yards than guys like Chris Olave. He has just as many yards as Amon-Ra St. Brown. He only has 4 touchdowns, but I don't think touchdowns is the best metric. Christian Watson had a whole mess of touchdowns last year. Look at guys like James Jones, who led the league in touchdowns one year. Kenny Golladay led the league in touchdowns one year. But that doesn't – Julio Jones wasn't a touchdown machine. And so I think what Puka's doing, I just don't think touchdowns is the best metric to go by. But I look at the catches, I look at the yards, and he's up there. He's up there with some of the best of them. Will, you're on mute. I know you're trying to talk, but you're on mute.
Well, here's the fact, Olu. Since we're talking in facts, with the rookie rankings across all formats, he is the number 1 rookie receiver in fantasy, in any format. He's above Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, standard, half PPR, PPR. I think the touchdowns will come. There's always going to be the positive touchdown regression. Probably not this year, but in his career. That's fine.
Let's move on.
Yeah, that's a lot of time on Puka.
Here we go. The next one will be interesting. Tank Dell, we have him collectively at number 4. I know Olu was the highest on him. Olu had him at number 4. Myself, Shed, and Will all had him at number 5. Olu, you are a Tank Dell, probably Tank Dell's biggest fan. We have him at 4. Why is he this high?
All right, so if you're going to talk about
hard.
Height, 6 inches is a big difference, right? If Kyler Murray was 6'4", or if Bryce Young was 6'4", everyone would be losing their minds over them, but that's not the reality. But Tank is amazing. They're like none of us are disrespecting Tank. We're giving him all the respect. He has been the by far the biggest rookie surprise, like without question. And it's amazing to watch. Well, the league wasn't paying attention, right? He was the 6th or 7th receiver drafted, or lower than that. Let
I
me
just
just
hope
say,
he can have a long career. That's the
right,
thing, because I mean,
he's got to stay healthy.
he's 100. He's 100. Is he 165? Is that what it is? Or, yeah, I mean, Tank Dell, I think what he's doing is great, and I think he is exceeding people's expectation given his draft stock. I love what he's doing. I have even more respect for him to do it at 165 pounds as a wide receiver in the National Football League, the most physical sport we have out there. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. I like him. I hope he can have a long career.
I just want to say quickly for the viewers that Olu's beef is not with Puka Nakua. Olu's beef is that because people are putting Puka ahead of Tank Dell, and Tank Dell is his man. So because of that, he's gonna discredit Puka in order to get Tank
That's
Dell
what
up there.
Olu does. Yeah.
So
Yes.
so that's
He can't deny it either.
anyway, go on.
This
Let's
next
move
one will
on.
be interesting. At number 5, we had Devin A. Chan. Now, I had him at number 9, whereas Shed had him at number 3.
Wow.
And Olu
Shed.
had him at number 2. Okay? Now, here's my thing. Let me go in. When Devin A. Chan gets an opportunity, he can make something happen. Devin A. Chan does not get a lot of opportunities because Devin A. Chan cannot get on the field. That is the problem I have with Devin A. Chan. We are 13 weeks into the NFL season. He has appeared in less than half of those games. And then of the 6 he appeared in, 2 of them, he only got the ball 1 time each of those games. He has played in over 50% of snaps twice. Olu likes to say, the greatest ability is availability. The man is not available. That is my problem. So through 13 weeks, yes, he did incredible for 4 of those games. But we're talking about 13 weeks. 13 weeks. If I were to tell you, oh man, this guy, you want to buy him. I know he's going to hit on 30% of the games this season. You would say, why would I invest in that? For 30% of the games? No, pass. So that's my beef with Devin A. Chan. Those games he played in, he was awesome. But the man could not get on the field for many games. The majority of the games this season. That's my problem with Devin A. Chan. I like him when he's on the field and he gets an opportunity, but outside of that, I'm passing. I don't want it. I don't want it. No, hold on, Olu. You said it matters where you land. It also matters if you're under 190 pounds playing running back in the NFL.
So
You said if he plays. You just said if he plays. Nobody has the audacity to say if Bijan Robinson plays. Why? Because the guy has size. He can play. He can play 3 downs. Devin A. Chan can't play 3 downs. So you don't think Bijan Robinson has the capacity to do that?
I will make it make sense. He had half of those touchdowns in a 70-20 blowout of the Broncos. That was where half of his total touchdowns came.
Let's move on. It's interesting. It's interesting. I look forward to seeing what our listeners think about this stuff. We might not need to talk much about Jahmyr Gibbs. There wasn't much discrepancy in our rankings at this point. But Sam Laporta, I had him at number 2. I had Sam Laporta at number 2. Yes, I did. Whereas Will had him at number 9. So we have a discrepancy here. And of course, Shed and Olu were somewhere in the middle. But listen, this is why I had him at number 2. Okay? Of all the rookies not named CJ Stroud, Sam Laporta has taken the vast majority of his snaps for his team. Most of these guys haven't taken as many snaps as Sam Laporta. He's being asked to do more, and at a position that is the most shallow in fantasy football. Sam Laporta is the third highest ranked tight end right now in fantasy football. He has more And here's what's wild. So obviously, I love what he's doing on the field. But if you were to just look at the man's just raw numbers, okay? Just raw numbers. How can we not put him this high when he's the third highest scoring rookie in fantasy football? He's the third highest scoring rookie in fantasy football. So to put him well below that is disrespectful. Not to mention he's doing it in a position where who are you guys starting in your fantasy leagues at tight end? Jonnu Smith? Tyler Conklin? Sam Laporta is the number 3 tight end. And he's the number 3 highest fantasy scorer of all rookies in fantasy football. I love what he's doing, guys. I love what he's doing. That's why I am high on. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. He's the number 6 highest scorer.
Right,
of all
6th
rookies.
highest rookie score. So the reason
6.
I'll just say quickly, the reason I had him so low on my rankings at number 9, it's not a reflection of his ability. It's just a reflection of the overall scoring opportunities in fantasy for tight ends compared to obviously quarterback and then running backs and receivers. So he is the number 3 tight end, but when you look at your roster, really the only tight end in the NFL this year who can actually swing a matchup is Kelsey and occasionally Kittle. And so that's why I had him lower in fantasy, just because it's the tight end position. That's why he was pushed down. But as far as his production compared to the rest of his position, he and CJ Stroud are in a class of their own, right? Because across the position, not just rookies, just all players, Stroud and Laporta obviously have been the most impressive. That's not even a question. But I had him so low just because of the tight end position and how it usually does not impact a matchup in fantasy.
I think having a positional advantage of Sam Laporta helps, and that's why I had him high for the positional advantage.
It does help, but Kelsey's really about the only one who could swing a whole matchup.
So you want to? So this is all I'll say. Your boy Tank Dell, 171 fantasy points. Sam Laporta, 174.9.
Oh,
So whoopsies! How about that? He's scoring more points than oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
he objectively has more points than Tank Dell.
He scored more
overall
fantasy
in
points.
fantasy points. No, what? Sam Laporta?
No, I'm being dead serious. Sam Laporta, 64 catches, 679 yards, 6 reception touchdowns.
Doesn't
He has
matter.
one
Laporta has
touchdown.
way more receptions.
Laporta has about 20 more receptions than him.
No. We can't. Please don't go back to that. PPR is the only one that matters. That's what most of our listeners play. But it's the most popular format.
But take this though. This is the last thing we'll say about this though. But take this into consideration. Take the PPR away. Tank Dell only has 30 more yards than him and 1 touchdown. One is a tight end, one's a receiver.
Yeah, that's significant.
So, guess who's missed no games? Sam Laporta. Hello.
Right, because he's a receiver.
Availability is the best ability. Hey, all I'm saying is I had him high, positional advantage. He's doing it.
No, I'm over here just listening to you guys. Yeah, let's just move on. That's fine.
Last one we'll go through. I mean, Addison. What? This is the only one. The last one I want to hear about is. I mean, we had Addison at 8, Flowers at 9, and Rashee Rice at 10. But Addison is interesting because Olu, you had Addison at 5. You had him above Puka Nacua. Do you want to talk about that at all? Because all of us had Puka Nacua
top 3
higher than him, but you had Addison above Puka Nacua.
You can't say format proof when points are points, Olu, and ranking is ranking. Like, no. What?
Okay, but Olu. Puka Nacua has 300 more yards than him.
Right, which is in non-PPR, that's what matters. No. All right. That's fine. No, it's 6 points. It's 6 points in fantasy. Let me do this real quick though, right? So Puka has 300 more yards
350
than
more yards.
Addison. 350. That's 35 points in non-PPR. 35 points, right? And then you said Addison has 3 more touchdowns than Puka. That's only 18 points. So right there, Puka has the advantage anyways.
17.
I just
Yes.
did it.
No, you did math.
Matt,
35 minus 18 is 17. So Puka
Right.
has 17 more points.
Puka, yes. Even in standard, Puka is better. So
I just want to say this. I love Olu, but if you're listening to us on Spotify, you could have seen his face. He said, I can do math.
So okay, so Olu, your argument then is that last year when Justin Jefferson led the league in reception, he was 13th in touchdowns. The man was 13th last year when he led the league in yards, but he was still the greatest wide receiver. So he only had 8 touchdowns last year. He was the best wide receiver. Him or Chase. Okay, he was a. Everyone knows that Justin Jefferson is a top 2, top 3 wide receiver, whatever it is, right? He came inside as the him and Chase were 1 and 2 in ADP as far as wide receiver. Everyone had him as the top wide receiver. Tyreke was probably 5th or 6th overall player picked, and then they were 1 and 2. But my point being is that you end up looking at touchdowns, but Jefferson didn't have a lot of touchdowns. He only had 8 touchdowns, but he led the league in a lot more yards. So he's still good. Touchdowns will come. That's the thing. Touchdown will come, and you can't be too much touchdown reliant because, like I think Matt said, Christian Watson.
Last year, Jefferson had 1,800 yards. He had 1,800 yards. Tyreek Hill had 1,700. Jefferson had 8 touchdowns last year. Tyreek Hill had 7.
Puka has 4 touchdowns, and we still have 5 games left. We still have 5 games left. Olu. It's not unreasonable to think that.
Let's see what happens. This is fun. I think our listeners are gonna have a great time with this one. We are going long today, but it is for a good reason. Okay, it is for a great reason. Olu's face is like, I can't do it with these guys anymore. This might be the 3 Wide Fantasy Football Podcast going forward. But I love it. Let's go on to our last segment. We are going to do another rookie ranking. No, I'm just playing. We're not doing that. We are going to do a single game mock draft from a very exciting Thursday night game. If you're new, this is where we take the Thursday night game and we do our own fantasy draft, 2 rounds, snake style. All we draft is running backs, receivers, and tight ends. No quarterbacks, no defenses. We've been doing this since week 2. And up to this point, the king is back in first place. Olu's back in first place with 338 points. He had a big showing last week from DK Metcalf. Olu has been blessed to have had DK Metcalf on the 3 touchdown night and DJ Moore on the 3 touchdown night of Thursday Night Football. He has surpassed Shed. Shed is in second place with 318. I'm in third with 280. And Will is pulling up the rear with about 250 points.
Golly.
This week, we have New England at Pittsburgh, the snooze fest of a game. That's what I would predict. But anyways, today, who's at the top? Shed has the first pick, followed by Olu, and then Will, and then myself. So, Shed, you're up first, man.
So I'm not sure if you guys kind of look forward to the time when the rotation comes to you and you get the first overall pick. I look forward to that. Okay, who's going to be, what game is going to be, and I probably have the worst game total, right? I mean, of the year. With the first overall pick, you know what? I'm going to have to go Jaylen Warren. I mean, that's going to be my pick.
Wow.
That was your first pick?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's slim pickings. No disrespect to George Pickens, but it's slim pickings in this game.
Will's doing his Jedi mind tricks on Olu right now. It's slim pickings.
That's right.
All right, Olu, you got next. I know.
Olu,
exactly.
Go get your man.
Remember that time it was like the 3rd pick and he was like, there's really no one left.
Okay. So with Mitch Trubisky throwing the ball for the Steelers, it's just rough for all of their pass catchers. And for fantasy purposes, I actually am going to go with Najee Harris. He has been producing. He's been producing. And I like him over Deontay, anyone else. So give me Najee because of Trubisky at quarterback.
This is going so much differently than I thought.
You are legitimately surprised.
I am very surprised.
I'm really not. This is relatively order I would have gone in.
Yeah, this is how it's going to go. I mean, your next two have to be easy, Matt.
I think they are, but there's a...
But now you're nervous.
No, because there's 3 guys that I actually kind of like. And now it's hard. I thought this was going to be easy. I really did. I really thought this was going to be easy. Okay, for my first pick, I think I'm going to have to... Yeah, for my first pick, I'll take Zeke at my first pick with Ramondre Stevenson being out.
Zeke. All right.
I think that's a good pick. I'm not that it's not that I'm a big Zeke fan, but with Ramondre not being there and him being able to catch the ball, Ramondre went out last week and Zeke had 92 total yards with 4 catches. So I'll take Zeke with my first pick, even though I don't believe in the Patriots offense. And it's wild because I want to take Demario Douglas, but Deontay Johnson is also there. Oh, this is a tough one, y'all. Neither quarterback is good. So it's not a matter of, I don't trust Mitch Trubisky. I also don't trust Bailey Zappi. So
this is the worst Thursday night game of the year. It's absolutely the worst. Not even close.
You know, I'll just go with Deontay Johnson for my other one. He helped me out last time. Let's just stick with him.
Y'all saw that in the promo for this game where they usually show like the best player. They just showed Bill Belichick on the Patriots. They didn't have a player to show. That being said, I am going to go with Pop Douglas here because they actually design plays for him. They kind of scheme him open. So give me Pop.
And that's who I was like, man, do I want to go Demario Douglas? But I'm like, but if the Patriots offense gets shut out again, and I have Zeke and Demario Douglas, I'm in big trouble. So it was one of those.
Yeah. Muth.
Now watch that man score 3 touchdowns.
I know.
Because Olu has him on his team. Shed, you don't even need to. It doesn't matter.
Shed, this is terrible. There is nothing.
I know. Shed, you should just go out on a limb and take Ramondre Stevenson and hope he comes back like that. That's what you should do. Just go with Antonio Brown and hope they sign him. That's what you do.
Is Devontae Parker even playing? Like I thought it was questionable. That's the only reason why I'm just like not sure.
You have a better chance of Kendrick Bourne playing with a torn ACL than Devontae Parker doing anything this week.
Okay. So I'm gonna go with it's not boom or bust, it's like okay or bust. I'm gonna go Hunter Henry.
Oh man.
Hunter Henry.
This is terrible.
It's like the least sexy pick I've ever heard. It's not boom or bust, it's like okay or bust.
Yeah.
Here we go. Rounding out an exciting Thursday night game. Shed is sitting with Jaylen Warren as the first overall pick, highest he's ever been drafted, and Hunter Henry. Olu has Slim Pickens and Pat Freiermuth. Will has Najee Harris and Pop Douglas.
Love it.
And I'm sitting pretty with Zeke Elliott and Deontay Johnson, the 2020 Pro Bowl. So that rounds out our 4-Wide Fantasy Football Podcast episode for the day. Come on back next week. We will have Week 14 recap, Week 15 preview. Thanks for stopping in. Your hosts, Matt, Shed, Will, and Olu. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you next week.